Breaking news from Shams Charania. The Jonathan Kuminga saga is over after a summer-long stalemate. Kuminga has agreed to a 2-year, $48.5 million contract to return to the Golden State Warriors. Golden State ultimately increased its offer by a total of $8 million in the 2-year framework and guaranteed Kuminga approximately $15 million more than his qualifying offer would have been this season. He chose a 2-year deal over a 3-year deal, Steven. So the saga is over. He will not be in Phoenix. How do you feel about the Kuminga news?
Kuminga, DeAnthony Melton, Al Horford. Golden State is a little bit on the older side. They have a bit of unction vibes. The unction musk. The unction musk.
They're the grand unction.
But I think they get to the playoff stage and the IQ of their group comprehensively is going to shine through as a weapon and advantage. And then you mix in someone like Kuminga, they could just do a bunch of different things and be youthful with it as well. And further information from Bobby Marks, Jonathan Kuminga has a January 15th trade restriction. Golden State has retained this flexibility, as we know, for not until the early part of the regular season. But the other part of it is that because they brought in DeAnthony Melton and Al Horford, they're hard capped at the second apron.
Yeah, the Shams also mentions in one of his classic follow-up quote tweets that both sides understand the likelihood of exploring trades when Kuminga is eligible in January. I know that we talked about it a lot this offseason, Steven, about the possibility of trading for Jonathan Kuminga. Well, now that you know what he's going to get paid, obviously for at least just 2 years now, do you feel like this is a guy that the Suns should still keep tabs on this season? And maybe if it comes down to it and Golden State does need either some veteran presence in Grayson or Royce or a big man in Nick Richards and whatever else the Suns can scrap together, do you feel like that's somebody that you should be watching if you're a Suns fan is, hey, this guy might be at the top of the Suns list and vice versa?
I do, because I feel like he's one of the few pieces that the Suns have routes to attaining that would put their roster in a better position of what it is that they're working towards. Kuminga being able to do the things that he can defensively with the athleticism and activity that he plays with as well, and the versatility, along with Ryan Dunn, is a lot of fun and prospect.
How do you feel about the money?
I think he can get to a potential and reaching that
$24 million a year.
Yeah, I think he can get to that point. His potential is suggested for sure. And I think if he gets in a new ecosystem where he's fully bought in and he's being featured in ways that he won't be with Golden State, I think he has that skill set in him.
I think one of the interesting things is, does he start for the Warriors? Right. And if he doesn't start for the Warriors, how motivated is he to prove people wrong? Obviously, you get your contract, but you don't want to be in Golden State. He does not want to be in Golden State. And if you play good enough, do you play yourself out of the Suns' bracket of offering stuff, right? Yeah. Can you go to the Kings, who have obviously been in on the Jonathan Kuminga saga? Is there another team? You never know what might happen when you get through the season, right? And you're talking about, oh, well, we don't see Team X as a Jonathan Kuminga destination until something happens in the middle of the season and all that changes. I think it's going to be very interesting to keep tabs on Jonathan Kuminga, not just from a Warriors perspective, because if he is great for this team, if he plays to his $24 million per year value, he is the best young piece on this team that is full of old pieces. I think it's also interesting to say, what would the Phoenix Suns be willing to offer? Because we know the Suns are interested per reports. And would that offer increase over this season? If Kuminga plays good enough, would the Suns be willing to part with another one of their young pieces if they are that high on what Kuminga can bring?
Exactly. And to your point about starting, I think 3/5 of their starting lineup is guaranteed between Steph, Clay, and it's just hard not to at this point.
It's okay, man.
Between Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond, that's 3/5 of their starting lineup. Who's at the 5? Your guess is as good as mine at the moment. They love Trace Jackson Davis. Quentin Post played a lot for them in the postseason as well. How much have they grown remains to be seen. The other part in that, Brandon Podziemski or Moses Moody. If you're talking about either two of those 4 players that I mentioned starting, where does Kuminga fit into the mix with all of that, and how much of a minutes total does he take on average per game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be
like
fascinating.
Stopgap, or not stopgap. This feels like a Band-Aid. It's not the end-all, be-all. It's just a put it off for now type of thing.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a fascinating thing to watch, because if he does start, that's a massive lineup around Steph Curry, right? But Also, they're going to bring in Anthony Melton. They're going to bring in Al Horford, right? I think, when you look at what they are as a team, is this a team that can contend?
Mm-hmm. They have Steph Curry. All it takes is a 2.5 week heater where he decides that he doesn't want to touch anything, including the net on the way through the basket. And that's enough to shift and sway things. I think we saw what this team's potential defensively was last season, with Jerry Stackhouse being brought in and them being more aggressive and them being a little more nuanced with their approach defensively because of Draymond, in addition to Stackhouse being there and Jimmy now. I think this is a team that can contend still because of the defense first.
Muhammad says, I'm all for Dylan Brooks' swap with Kuminga. Salaries match. Give them a vet, us a rebuilding piece. I mean, Dylan Brooks set the culture. Do you ship him out after half a year for Kuminga?
I mean, if the opportunity presented itself, I think you find a hard way to say no to that. I don't know if the Warriors would want Brooks, though, because of the overlap with Draymond and Jimmy, if you want to add another wing that's cut from that type of cloth to the fold.
I think it's interesting because, you want a guy like Dylan Brooks, and maybe we'll have to put a pin in the ranking lineups here in a second. I think you want a guy like Dylan Brooks, obviously, for the culture, and depending on how this team is going, but also realistically speaking, is Dylan Brooks on the next great Suns team? Maybe, right? And we don't even know what Jonathan Kuminga really is in this league. He's hit extremely high highs, and his potential as a piece is much higher than what Dylan Brooks' ceiling is. But I think the floor with Kuminga it's so low. I mean, we're basically gonna have to just see what happens until January.
That's what makes the most sense for me. But I don't know if he has enough of a role to show that it's going to be something different than what we already know come January. January is not that far away.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's almost October now. Tomorrow's October 1st.
That's crazy. I can't believe you just said that. Anything else on the Kuminga thing? Do you feel like there's more to dive into here?
I'll just say his potential suggests great things. He has to reach that. I don't know if he reaches that with Golden State because of the way they play and the personnel that they have and the ways that he has to kind of be fit into a role with them versus being able to play to his own strengths.